The light-haired Havish consider themselves the most cultured and civilized of the budding societies on Eamhna. Originally one of the largest of the nomadic tribes, they ranged the northern and eastern coasts of the island for generations before finally claiming a northern section of the island as their own. They have always been traders at heart and survived by forging treaties and paying off some of the more prominent tribes on the island to gain safe passage along their regular routes. But it has been the downfall of many a chieftain to mistake the Havish people's preference for profits over violence as cowardice. They are practical and consider war and violence a blunt but sometimes necessary tool when more delicate solutions prove untenable. If cheated in a deal, they have a strong belief in exacting twice the agreed upon sum from their opponent by whatever means necessary. There is a saying that while vengeance is a well-established trade on Eamhna, the Havish have elevated it to an art. While the Havish don't have the same warrior culture as many of the other kingdoms do, they have a strong history of being able to quickly organize a fighting force from the general populace. In war, they rely on levies and militias that, while less experienced than units made up of career soldiers, are well disciplined and equipped. They are innovative and quick to adopt tactics and weapons from other people and field mixed forces of bowmen, crossbowmen, spearmen, and shield infantry with various weapons. Until recently, they were a dynastic monarchy under the reign of King Ilstan Buin II. Havrin was founded by King Ilstan I 65 years ago when he drove several local tribes out from the great port city of Elistan. These tribesmen had banded together under the banner of a priest of Nymoth to take Elistan from its original inhabitants, the Galmori tribe. King Ilstan I succeeded in this campaign with a large loan from the Alchemist Guild and by leveraging alliances the Havish people had developed during their long years as journeying merchants and tradesmen. The descendants of the Galmori claimed that the Alchemist Guild had agreed to assist them in taking back their city, but that King Ilstan I, a personal friend and ally of their high chieftain, had betrayed them and met with the alchemist in private to strike a better bargain after having craftily helped the Galmori set the terms of their original deal with the guild. Galmori separatists plague Havrin to this day, although they have no real central leadership and often act more as bandits than a focused political movement. King Ilstan II is relatively young for a king, as his elder brothers died during the Spartan War. His own heroics during the war made him popular among the common people, but his 2 years on the throne were polarizing and marked with triumphs earned from willpower and force of personality, and mistakes made from inexperience and brashness. He was of the opinion that the peace with Sparta would be short-lived and strongly advocated for the consolidation of power behind the throne and the country's military doctrine to be placed in the king's purview, rather than being distributed regionally to Havrin's 6 great noble houses, which are each led by a count or duchess. He argued that being a more unified kingdom was the only way to head off aggression from hostile neighbors. Fears grew among the nobles that King Ilstan might have been nurturing designs on becoming a despot, and the mercantile and trade classes were alarmed by his leverage of taxes on their professions to help fund the raising of levies for more frequent border patrols and the construction of fortifications. The growing tensions between the upper and ruling classes of Havrin came to a head when a group of young noble Ridra, a few of them relatives to the great noble houses, attempted to assassinate the king, some wearing the full plate mail that had been loaned to them by their houses for feats of valor or prowess. Although the uprising was likely the doing of ill-advised young warriors with ideals of chivalry filling their heads, King Ilstan either feared the possibility of a more widely orchestrated coup attempt or saw it as an excuse to strengthen the throne. Although all suits of plate mail nominally belong to the king and are on loan to the noble houses as a sign of favor, in practice these suits of armor are handed down from one generation to the next and remain within the noble houses they were originally given to unless captured by another Ridra in battle. King Ilstan wrote a decree in secret to have these suits of armor forcefully repossessed from the manors of his noble vassals and to be brought to Elistan, where they could be given only to those whose loyalty to the Buin line was unquestionable. Unfortunately for King Ilstan, this decree was leaked before armed retinues could surprise the nobles at their estates. Fearing that this was the first step in stripping the noble class of its privileges and titles, the nobles raised their levies and met the soldiers sent to collect their plate mail with resistance. These skirmishes escalated into a civil war that lasted for half a year before King Ilstan was forced to retreat and take refuge with allies in Vixland. While Vixland has agreed to shelter the king, they have not agreed to militarily support him. All the same, this has caused a strain in the relationship between the two countries. Havrin is currently ruled by a council of nobles and a regent lord who has taken up many of the duties and powers of the king. The current regent is Count Velmar, but the 6 noble houses can bring a no-confidence vote to replace the count at any time, and all of the houses are constantly vying for one of their own to be voted into the position. Meanwhile, royalists hide, either in exile or in plain sight, waiting to take up arms when King Ilston returns to try to claim his throne by force.